In an escalating battle between Walt Disney and Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, Disney on Wednesday sued the potential White House contender over his state's efforts to control its Florida theme parks. The lawsuit marks the company's response to mounting efforts by DeSantis and his supporters to exert power over Disney World, which draws millions of visitors every year to its massive amusement parks. In the lawsuit, Disney said it was left with no choice but to file it to, quote, protect its cast members, guests, and local development partners from a relentless campaign to weaponize government power against Disney in retaliation for expressing a political viewpoint unpopular with certain state officials. Disney say gay! The battle began last year after Disney criticized a state law dubbed Don't Say Gay, banning classroom discussion of sexuality and gender identity in schools from kindergarten through grade 3. Disney argues it was denied its First Amendment rights to free speech. Disney do better!
The state of Florida is the new sheriff in town.
And Wednesday's lawsuit alleges that a newly formed DeSantis-appointed tourist board violated Disney's contract rights and did so without just compensation and deprived it of due process.
Yes, it's very unusual. It's very unusual to file a lawsuit, and especially on grounds related to free speech, with Governor DeSantis engaging in a very heavy-handed form of regulation of a company. In the Republican conservative world, that's a hypocritical act. That party and that ideology is for the free market. And with regard to any objection he has to Disney's behavior, that should be a market decision regarding people who decide whether to attend Disney or not.
We are unaware of any legal right that a company has to operate its own government or maintain special privileges not held by other businesses in the state. Before the board takeover, Disney pushed through changes to the special tax district agreement that limit the board's action for decades. The tussle with Disney, which employs some 75,000 people in Florida, could hurt DeSantis as a potential White House hopeful. According to a Reuters Ipsos poll, 73% of respondents said they were less likely to support a political candidate who backs laws designed to punish a company for its political or cultural beliefs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. We'd like to start this meeting the way we do with the safety.
Disney picked the fight with this board. We were not looking out for a fight. We had agreed to meet with the leadership of Disney to figure out how we could work together. And then with respect to what you heard here, because there was a lot of detail and a lot of things that are complicated, but bottom line, what our lawyers have told us is factually and legally, what they created is an absolute legal mess. It will not work, okay?
The city councils of Bay Lake and Lake Buena Vista did not hold public hearings on or approve the development agreement that is at issue that we've been talking about for the last couple of meetings. That makes the development agreement void, ab initio. That's a fatal flaw. Each of those cities had to also conduct notice public hearings and approve this development agreement because the development agreement purports to vest densities and intensities uses and grant transfer of development rights for all properties that Disney owns. And those properties include not just what's in unincorporated areas that the district has authority over, but also the incorporated areas contained within those cities.
Disney was openly and legally granted unique and special privilege, that privilege of running its own local government for a time. That era has ended. As we now know, Disney worked with the old Disney-controlled district board in its final hours in a sweeping attempt to, without notice, retain control over all of the property in the district so that it could assure that the land Disney owned as well as the government-owned property and that owned by private citizens would continue to be tied up, controlled, and used as Disney desired for the next 30 years. We also know that this attempt was not carried out in accordance with Florida law. For that reason, It's invalid.